What's going on, guys? It's your boy Mojados, and I'm back with another video. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope everybody's having a happy Ramadan, and it's been a beautiful Ramadan for me. And I just wanted to come along here and do my monthly BTC updates. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. So first things first, I like to preface all my videos with the ideology behind why I think this played out the way it did. Back in September, I tweeted this out, believing this was a running flat, targeting the highs of the previous wave 5, and then eventually we do run up to that wave 5, and first target was around C. And the next month we hit it in December, and as time progresses in the thread, I kind of leave details behind it, and I like to play it level by level, guys. That's my style. And I like to watch and wait for reactions, because that's basically, I think, the most safest way. Looking too far ahead is really just pure speculation when people say things, but I like to go off of data. That's kind of my style. And right now, in this part of the thread, you can see clearly that I was expecting a bounce off the lows again, but not expecting it to go lower. That's kind of why I strategically drew that 5 there. And then here we are. The last month, March 23rd, I pretty much thought that we were going to get up to these highs here, even though we went sideways for a bit. So basically, I left off the thread around here, and we did run up, right? But we didn't get up to 54K, which is kind of what I predicted. We only got up to around 48K, and then we started retracing. Now, just looking at the structure as a whole, it's kind of weird, because looking at BTC, the history, we're not used to seeing this kind of top, right? Where we put in a high, and then we put in another high, and then price just starts trending down, right? Usually we have a blow off top here. Price never comes back down to the highs, and then we just start trending downwards, right? And so because it's different in that aspect, right, where we come up to these highs, it's also not going to be the same like in 2020, right? Because people are now saying that this area over here, we're going to go sideways and it's going to be a big dip, right? People are saying now that, oh, we're going to go sideways and we're going to have a big dip. That's not necessarily true because of what happened previously, right? If we use previous price action on BTC, we're actually going to be wrong most of the time, because people expected an altis in December. It never happened. People expected that this was going to be a blow off top at 65K, and that prices don't retrace back up to those highs there, but it never happened, right? And people are just constantly guessing what's going to happen, but it's really much simpler than that, guys. It's just play it level by level, right? And that's really all we can do here. So right now we look at BTC. What's next, right? Well, for me at least, looking at this from an Elliot wave standpoint, I thought that this was a running flat, which has played out perfectly. It has been confirmed, and we have had some nice momentum up here because price started trending up to these highs. But maybe right now we are getting to a level where it's quite a bit concerning, and because we don't want to we basically don't want to see this level get lost, right? And the reason I have that highlighted is because it's a demand zone. It's a weekly demand zone, so that's being defended pretty well. But all in all, it was completely wiped out in the next day, so it's still very bearish, and selling volume was pretty high as well, so it completely wiped out those buyers here. So right now it is bearish, but looking at this whole sideways price action, like if we just look at this range, right, from this high to this low here, it's a pretty nice range. No matter how you look at it, from this low to this high here, like this range itself, pretty bullish all in all. I don't know if we get back to the lows of this range, because it's going to be pretty interesting to see how that plays out, especially how it's subdividing as we speak. But for me, at least, guys, like if you watch my last video on BTC, I literally said that BTC itself, if we are going to believe that we are in a bull market, guys, we need strong, powerful moves. Strong, powerful moves, right? If we're in a bull market, guys. But right now, we're kind of chopping, right? We're chopping. And we're starting to see like literally this, right? Where we're just moving around. And actually, it's even further back than that, right? The chopping starts here, right? it just chops. And it's chopping. I think it's going to keep chopping to the upside. And realistically, you know, um, it just looks kind of funny, guys. I'm gonna be really honest with you. Like all in all, this is a corrective structure from an Elliott wave standpoint. So I think like some type of A, B, C move is probably gonna play out. I don't know how that looks exactly, but once this move is completed, once this B leg is completed, I'm just looking at like the time standpoint. It takes like, okay, so like if this is the beginning of A, if it's a three-legged move, right? I guess we could take it there, like maybe at the end of April, if we see like a big move start playing out, then we can maybe say that we're gonna start chopping to the upside, right? Where we see a clear 5-wave structure to the upside, but we might not even get a clear move, right? Sometimes it's not going to be clear because these choppy moves that take place, especially when they're corrective, they're pretty hard to subdivide. But I'm looking at the daily time frame because at the end of the day, a lot of noise is under the daily time frame, guys. So let's just focus on the higher time frames, right? But I actually want to pivot away from the Bitcoin chart. I know this is definitely a Bitcoin, dominated analysis, but I think it's really important at this moment to look at other indicators like the Bitcoin dominance chart, right? So I know some of us might not be under the influence that we might see at alt season. And while it is true that we might not get an alt season, there's some data here that is worth acknowledging, right? So just looking here, the last alt season that we experienced was in December 2020 into May 2021. And literally, we saw dominance fall a lot, right? And it's interesting because we're now seeing dominance kind of correcting here. And the pattern itself looks kind of bearish. And we're kind of running into a resistance right here. I don't know if it breaks above here. Maybe it does go higher. I don't know how that looks, guys. But if this was going to be bullish, I think that we probably have to start seeing it go sideways and maybe, start putting pressure on these EMAs here. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But at the moment, it has a bearish market structure, making lower highs and lower lows. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But all in all, this structure is pretty ugly, even when you invert it as well. It looks like it just wants to go higher, right? And Bitcoin dominance going higher would mean that alts are going to pretty much take over the show because they would be the ones to essentially take over that dominance. And that would be pretty interesting to see. And that's an interesting thing to look at. And then we have ETHBTC here as well, which is in a running correction, guys. So this is like an ABC correction as well, which is also pretty fun to see. And literally, we know this channel that I have drawn is pretty much a flat, because pretty much in a correction, guys, is that volume declines. Right here, you can see clearly volume is declining, price is drifting, right? And literally, guys, it's pretty funny to see because like this is kind of matching up with what an alt season would need, because one, we have Bitcoin dominance looking like is bearish, right? And it's going to break down. We have ETHBTC, looks like it's pretty bullish, right? So this is a very good sign for alts to also follow Ethereum, right? The same way that Bitcoin is the market leader and takes over the whole market, right? When Bitcoin is trending up, everything follows it. And if it's trending down, so does everything else. ETHBTC is like that with alts. I don't know why, guys. Whenever ETH is pumping, so is the rest of the altcoin market. So that's just what it is. And ETH looks pretty good right now, especially the BTC chart, because majority gains have been realized on on BTC. So BTC holders say, okay, let's take our money, park it in ETHBTC for a little bit before we, close it out again, because they try to maximize as much BTC they can get. And this is also a really good chart, guys. This is the weekly time frame. You have a healthy RSI, you have a nice correction, you have nice impulse here, and overall this looks pretty bullish, right? So that's that. And the final thing that was brought to my attention by a friend of mine, CVL, very cool guy, very smart. He shared with me the USDT.D and USDC.D. So it's pretty much the dominance of altcoins. And it's interesting to see whenever these have been trending upwards, the market has been bleeding, right? And when I look at this as well, we're actually at a weekly supply zone. So I do think that we'll probably face some resistance at 8% dominance for stable coins. So that will be fun to watch. And I don't even know if we get back up to those highs there, just taking a retracement from that high there to here. I don't know what that is. Let me see. So right around the 61.8, 78.6. I don't have it there, but it's pretty interesting to see as well. I mean, high time frames definitely losing some strength here on the RSI. Go a little bit lower. There is definitely some room to run here, though. I'm not gonna lie, and this could even go higher. But you know, it's definitely tapping out. RSI is definitely getting weaker and weaker on every single run. So we'll see. I mean, it definitely is a nice channel. So that's gonna be fun to see how it plays out. And guys, I just want to reiterate again, just to recap this all together, so you guys have a clear picture. In this blue box that I have drawn here, guys, this is when alts pretty much had, you know, a crazy run, right? It was when BTC was chopping, not when BTC was on a rampage from 16,000 here all the way up to 60K, guys. It was in this box here, okay? And the ironic part is that in that box there, this is exactly when this happened. Dom was lost, even though Bitcoin went up. And at the same time, this happened too, right? ETHBTC went up. So you have so many factors that kind of give the same rationale that, yeah, we might be headed into an altcoin season because all the factors are lining up again. ETHBTC looking bullish. BTC.dom is pretty much looking bad, right? Like it looks like we're in this phase right here, guys, where we had like a small impulse or a move down, and then we're kind of going to be correcting for a little bit. Maybe we see something like that, and then we start seeing a trend basically break to the downside. I don't know how it looks, guys, exactly, but again, I can just take all this information and look at it and say most likely this is probable. At the end of the day, guys, nothing is guaranteed, but we can only go on probabilities. And right now, to me, it looks like if BTC does not start making strong moves to the upside, strong moves, then that means most likely alt season is coming around the corner, which is my primary stance right now, and that BTC is probably put in its highs, right? And pretty much that 59, 60, 65K, 69K was the top. And BTC is pretty much done for now, right? But unless new information, new data is revealed and new power, you know, where we start seeing strong moves at upside, then I can maybe change my stance. But right now, as we stand, I just don't see it. It's even possible that we do come back down to, you know, 35K. That is also a possibility too. But that's not something I'm going to focus on right now. Right now, I just believe that we are chopping and we are going to an alt season for this market. And, you know, again, I know this is a BTC dominated video, but it's important because BTC does lead everything else in the market. And I don't know how this chop like looks, but I'm just expecting an ABC correction to essentially play out. And I don't know exactly how that looks because corrections can get complicated, and there's no point of trying to forecast a move that can be subdivided in so many ways. So I'm gonna just essentially leave it, and just for now it's gonna be like a simple ABC. I think we're down to a B somewhere. I don't know how it looks. I mean, you can subdivide this into a few different ways, but I'm gonna wait till a big move is pretty much you know, taking place, whether it's a big wick that happens. Sometimes that's what we need to look for, as a wick that kind of ends a move sometimes, or maybe you know, a big move to the opposite direction that we didn't expect, right? Where maybe you start pushing up to the upside here and to start going to 42K and then consolidating. Who knows how it plays out? So I mean, we'll take it one step at a time, guys. That's exactly what I've been doing throughout the thread, throughout pretty much everything. And you know, we just gotta take it one level at a time, and then that's it, guys. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, and I'm gonna just cap it off at that, guys. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and sub if you haven't already, and as always, haro haro haro, peace.